What's up, everyone? This is Christian Duke, and you're watching StrengthAddicts here on Instagram Live, sponsored by TitanMedicalCenter.com. Tonight's guest, the Giant Killer, 212 Mr. Olympia, Shaun Clarida, who shocked the world back when he beat the Lion of Libya, Kamal Gardni, and actually is double qualified for the Olympia. That's right, my friends. He is qualified for 212. He is qualified for Open. He beat guys that were over 100 pounds heavier in body mass than him, proving that bodybuilding is all about the illusion and proving that weight means nothing. So I'm going to bring him on here, and let me see here, the gram being what it is. Always fun. And this is a real treat because I wasn't able to go to the Olympia last year because my flight got canceled. And here he is. What's up, my man? How are you?
What's going on, Christian? How we doing?
I'm good. I saw your, was it massage video today or shaving video or something? What was that?
I get grafted and cupping done.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. It looked pretty painful, though. The only time I've seen that before is like when Derek Farnsworth massages people, and they're like in agony, but it feels amazing afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've been doing for the past couple of years. It's really helped escalate my training, helped me recover a lot better, and then honestly just gives me a better look on stage. So,
and I know you don't want to talk too much about the fact that you have made history because you're qualified for the Open and the 212, but that I can't play that down. What was it like winning the Legion Sports Fest? I mean, obviously it was amazing, but what was it like though? Like, what was it like for you?
actually, my therapist Pete was actually here today. He was asking me the same question, like, "What's that feel like?" Honestly, going into it, talked to my coach and my girlfriend, and their question, "What will you be happy with?" I'm like, it's an open show. First call out, I think I'll be good there. But just being in the mix, first call out, top three, dead in the middle. It was a surreal feeling, honestly, and, the biggest reason I wanted to kind of do that, obviously, is something I've always wanted to do, an open show, but also kind of solidify that I'm not just a good 212 bodybuilder, but a good bodybuilder, period. And, getting the win there was just like, honestly, I kind of forgot about the second place at the Olympia because that was definitely an all-time high there. And I wanted to end the season on a high note going into this year. So it was a great feeling, honestly.
And you had won there before in the 212, but to come back and win in the Open is surreal.
Yeah.
And second place. I mean, about the second place, I don't know honestly what was narrower. When you beat Kamal or when Derek, I guess, beat you, because I honestly had you winning, and a lot of people that I know had you winning. Yeah. It just, the 212 is just so exciting in that sense where you've got and even Kamal like this past year, and he took third, but it looked insane. So you've got all these people in 212 that could like literally take the title, whereas in the Open it's not quite that exciting. I mean, once you get outside of the top two or three,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, our 212 guys, man, we're just as good as the Open bodybuilders. We bring the conditioning. We bring a crazy structure, and the good thing about us, we all have different body types. I'm kind of more small, compact, dense. Derek is wide, and just to have that prettier look. Kamal just has that old, grainy man muscle. Like you said, any of us could win that show at any given time. It's so we have to bring our A game every single time.
And with Derek also, and again, not to throw any shade at him, deserving champion, great guy, but he was able to tie it all together last year, but the math is not really on his side, because he's tried this before many times, and he was able to nail it last year, and it was went down to the wire between you and him, but who knows what he'll bring this year? Who knows if you'll even be on the 212 stage this year, because you have this, unless they let you do both, you basically have to choose between the two.
Unfortunately, I have to choose. I mean, I haven't gotten the contracts yet. So until I get both contracts in front of me and whoever makes that decision, I think it's Dan who says you have to choose. I'm still honestly hoping that I'm allowed to do both. It hasn't been dead set said to me personally. You have to choose. I think it'd be great for the show. Great marketing. You could definitely play it up. I mean, this hasn't been done in ever.
Yeah,
it hasn't been done. So why not bring something exciting to the show? It'll definitely sell pay-per-view, sell tickets, and just the biggest thing is make it exciting, make the show exciting. I think people want to see it. I know people want to see it.
I mean, I want to see it, and I want to talk a little bit about the Welsh Dragon, Flex James Lewis,
Oh yeah,
uh, James Flex Lewis, excuse me. I want him to get a special invite. I want him to get a special invite. I think, as a 7-time 212 Mr. O, he deserves a special invite. But there's
yeah,
other people that say he doesn't, and there's a little bit of clash there within the sport.
yeah,
And so we don't know for sure. We know that Dan met with him, but we don't know what came from that meeting. Just
yeah.
like you don't know whether or not Dan's going to make you choose. You just don't know. And I know that they've been, to a lot of media outlets, they've said, look, we're not going to do it. We're not going to double qualify, but unless you see it spelled out, it's, never say never. So
Exactly. Yeah, and then, like you said, Flex is a legend. He's the best ever in the 212. He's if anyone deserves an invite, it's definitely him. He's proved himself time and time again. He has nothing left to prove in 212. So, I definitely have him, definitely doing some damage this year in the Open Olympia.
yeah, I just, and again, I'm not a big fan of the special invite. I've never liked it, but again, with
Mm-hmm.
Flexo, a 7-time 212 Mr. O, to make him go qualify, I think that's kind of an insult. Me personally, I think it's a little bit of an insult. But
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, and the other thing with you also though, and people can say that they were off, or they can say that it was a half moon instead of a full. Well, they can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, you beat Sergio Oliva Jr., who I love, awesome guy, but who has 100 pounds on you, and
Yeah.
so that's you beat Regan Grimes, who's also got quite a ton of weight on you and height, and so you initially were not even supposed to win the
No.
212 Olympia because you were considered the extreme small end of the 212. You
Yeah.
wipe the floor there, and then you go to Reno, and that's got to be an amazing feeling of validation.
Like you said, never say never, right? And like I said, they've been counting me out for years, and I just slowly played my own game, stayed in my own lane, put on 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds of muscle every year, improved, and eventually I just slowly climbed my way up to winning the Olympia title. As far as the Open, again, that was something that in my mind I've always wanted to do. And I feel like this is the best time, as far as losing my title at the Olympia. I knew Chris was actually going to have that show. I was actually going to be in Reno regardless. So I was going to work the booth for Wolfpack. So I was scheduled to be there anyway. Once I obviously took second at the Reno, I made the decision right then and there that I'm going to compete. So obviously I talked to my coach, talked to my girlfriend, talked to, Michael from Wolfpack to make sure he was okay with it. And then once we said, everything was good, we just said, that's it. We signed a contract and we made it official. But on paper, when people saw that my name was on the list, they thought it was a mistake. There was no one really had me winning that Legion show.
Right.
But I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Did I want to win? Absolutely. But I was more realistic. The fact that you have Sergio, you have Regan, you have Cedric, you have all these top guys, Patrick Moore. Did I think I was gonna win? Probably not. If everyone was on, and I was expecting everyone to be absolutely on. I knew I'd be in a mix for sure, but when I got there, obviously, some people a little bit off. I was very much on, and the cards, felt what they did.
Yeah, and and I'm not like, I don't want to cause any like bad blood or any risks. It's not like what I'm about, but I do uh, I do observe, and I do see things. And when you did the Open, I think there was some laughs, and those laughs turned to grins, and those grins turned to sighs, and then they were like, "Holy shit, this guy's gonna win the show!" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I like that, because you were not taken seriously, even though by guys that do like you and are your friends. But
Yeah.
you're a 212 guy doing Open, and I just think that it sent a very, very uh, big wake up call to the Open guys. I think the last thing the Open guys want is for a 212 exodus into the Open. And I think that's why there's a lot of kind of like resistance to you being able to do both, because you guys are shredded to the bone. There's no bubble guts in the 212. You guys pose your hearts out.
Yeah.
I think you would force the bar to go a lot higher in the Open. I think that's why there's a little bit of pushback to you doing the Open.
Yeah, I noticed that after I won that, unfortunately, there were some Open guys that I know personally weren't happy with the decision, weren't happy with me moving into the Open. So I saw that for sure. But at the end of the day, like I said, like I told Bob, that won't be my last Open show. Period. So.
Yeah, I think they're scared of you, and they, it's not like a malicious thing. I just think that they're scared because of what you guys bring to 12. I think that's why they're also scared of Flex Lewis. I think you guys, all of you guys, even Jose Raymond, who's retired, I mean, you couldn't get harder than that guy, on stage. So it's just, I don't know if they're ready for that, you know. And you proved it. The height doesn't matter,
No.
and the weight doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But I think people have forgotten the Lee Labrada days, you know, and I think you're reminding them of that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, the cool thing about it, I was thinking about it, like I didn't prepare for that show, for that Legion show. I prepared for the Olympia, brought my best there, what I thought was my best, and I
Mm.
just jumped into that show. So imagine now having, a full year or actual full prep just focus on one show directly. I'm not saying that's going to happen this year or maybe next year, but I know that, like I said, I definitely want to do another open show one day. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be, but at least I know I'll be prepared for it. And again, I have the same mindset, man. I'm going to go in there to win that show. Period. I don't care who shows up.
Definitely. And I really would, I would pay, obviously anybody would pay to see you up against Big Ronnie, really, truly. Because I mean, last year, everybody knows my feelings. I thought Brandon won the show. A lot of people thought he won the show. He was in extremely good condition, but even Brandon at his best condition, as much as I love Brandon, and he does also come very full, which is also a trademark of his, but the level of condition in the 212 though really just blows everyone away. And so if you come in ultra shredded against the sort of watery Big Ramy like he was last year,
Mm-hmm.
even if they give it to him, you're going to be the people's champion. Everybody's going to be like, what the hell? Like, what do the judges have in their glasses? Like, this guy won. And I think what you said also about marketing, I mean, just Dan is a marketing genius, and to have you do both is a no-brainer.
I mean, we had a conversation about that. We talked about that. I think besides being something that I definitely want to do, I think the fans want to see it, man. And like you said, the fans are the ones that put that pay the bills. And as far as excitement, like we need something exciting this year. What's more exciting than someone doing both for the first time ever? A David versus Goliath, not just anyone, but like you got the smallest 212 guy
Right.
going versus the biggest open guy, like a David versus Goliath battle. I think it'd be
Definitely.
I think it'd be awesome. And
I,
again,
I think it would.
and I'm going to respect the decision, whatever they say. But I'm still hoping, right?
Yeah, and God forbid if you had to choose, I would love to see you do open. I think like, I don't want to say that you have nothing left to prove because you only have one 212 Olympia, but
Yeah.
whether you have one or you have 8 or 7 or whatever, you will always be a 212 Mr. Olympia. So in my mind, yeah, Ronnie and Lee Haney have 8, Dexter has 1, but
Yeah.
Dexter's still Mr. Olympia just like Ronnie is. Nobody, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think you've already won there. I would love to see what you could do. I think you could, I honestly think you'd be in the top 6. I think you'd be like a modern day Elite Priest, and that would be like the worst you could. I mean, I think you'd do a lot better than 6, honestly. Because what Reno did for me, and I don't mean to talk your ear off or anybody
No,
else.
you're good. You're good. You're good.
But what I really loved about the decision in Reno is the fact that they put you next to these guys, and they didn't focus on the height or weight difference. They scrutinized every pose. They scrutinized your physique, your balance, your transition. They really looked at what mattered. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
what matters in bodybuilding is the structure, the symmetry, the balance, not the height or the weight.
And I'm glad they did that, and it kind of like gave people now like were complaining like why I thought it was a mass monster game and these guys were bigger. Like that doesn't matter. That's not what the sport is judged on. The sport isn't judged on who's the tallest guy, who's the biggest guy, who's the most complete guy that day on that stage with the least amount of flaws. That's what bodybuilding is. So
Right.
the whole height versus weight thing, it doesn't mean anything. It means nothing.
Definitely. And I'm terrible at reading comments, but a lot of the comments are echoing what we're saying. I mean, everybody believes you to be a top 6 guy, and that's a really big deal considering the fact that you're up against some real giants in there, like weight-wise, height-wise. You know what I mean? But William Bonac is a former 212 guy, and so look at him. I mean, he could quite possibly win the Olympia this year. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely you can.
So just tell us a little bit about your coach, working with your coach also, because I think you guys really have like a really, really good, I think you guys just lock right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of coach hopping in the industry. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some coaches before working with Matt Jansen, but, Matt took me on when I was losing shows, when I wasn't in the first call out. He believed in me back then. So I came to Matt from Dallas. And Dallas and I had talked about, working out together. He was obviously working with Matt at the time. And I had reached out to Matt before one of the shows. And I said, hey, do you mind giving your feedback? What do you think? And he gave me his feedback. It was very honest. And I just it felt right. I felt like he really had my best interest at heart. The one thing Matt is really focused on, obviously, is my health and making sure I'm healthy going to every show and after post show. He knows my body inside out. The one thing these young guys got to stop doing, like you said, is coach hopping. because you don't realize that it takes your coach a while to learn your body. I'd be a fool to leave Matt. Again, he knows my body inside and out. We've won many shows together, including the Olympia. So he knows what works and what doesn't work. So, when you have a coach like that, or that type of connection and that communication with someone, it's just going to be flawless at all times. So.
And I want to just say something, and no response needed unless you want to, but about things we talked about before and leaving a company and this and that. I want to give you massive kudos because, I'm somebody that is very much driven by emotion, but that's a bad thing sometimes because when you're more of a thoughtful person, big picture person, Matt had that relationship to the company, but then Matt's also your coach. These are two completely separate relationships. And the fact that you're able to keep them separate, the fact that that you guys are a great team and that you didn't let other things cloud your judgment or get the better of you like they would have me. I give you kudos for that because again, the two relationships are completely separate from one another, and you guys work really, really well together. And the placings are an obvious, but also just the progression in your physique, because sometimes the placings aren't, they don't, sometimes you may improve and the placings may take some time to get there, but no, the placings are there and the improvements are there. And so what more do you need,
Yeah, let me also give credit to John Meadows because I worked with him as well for almost 7 years. So, and obviously, up until he passed. But no, absolutely. When I initially came on board with Matt's company, we sat down and had conversations like, no matter what happens with this, our relationship as far as coach and athlete will never change. And then obviously I was let go from the company. He and I got on a phone call and we discussed everything. And we had the same conversation and we agreed that, listen, we've made it this far together. We've had this much success, and we're going to continue to ride this thing out. I didn't blame Matt for anything. What happened? When I told him when I came on board with his company initially, I didn't want to bother him at all with anything related to the company. So if I had an issue with the company, I would go to someone else. I would never go to Matt unless I had to. So I always kept that relationship separate. And again, once I left, there's a bigger picture. Just because I leave a company that my coach, is a part of, doesn't mean I'll leave my coach. That's two separate businesses,
Absolutely.
And at the same time, I also want to put out there, I'm still a free agent. So,
well,
it's been crazy, man. I mean, just getting the support from, Matt, my family, my girlfriend, I'm in a good place. I'm very excited for this year and what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that it's also a way of marketing you that I think is very important. And again, not to live in the past or anything, but I do like what NutriBio did with you when you won, and but again, you would need a company to do something like that for you, but that would also be able to go beyond. You know what I mean? And it's hard to find that, but certainly I think there's potential out there. But the other thing with you also though is that companies have to come right. You know what I mean? Like they can't lowball you because you are a 212 Mr. O, and last year you didn't get it, but you got second, and in terms of public opinion, you won it. Then you win an open show. Here you are. We're discussing the possibility of you making history in Las Vegas in December, competing in 2 divisions. So that comes with a price tag. You know what I mean? They cannot lowball you. You know what I mean? Now on the flip side, these rumors that Big Ramy was getting $25,000 a month from Enhanced. He's Mr. Olympia, right? So I would like to think that the 212 Mr. Olympia maybe doesn't get 25K a month, but gets something like
10, 15,
something, right? Because it's like, again, I think and this is why I never understood why the Arnold got rid of 212, because if you were to poll people in Orlando or Vegas, wherever the Olympia would be held, like who's here for the 212? I think a lot of people are there for the 212.
Of course.
And so, yeah. So, and it is bodybuilding. And I'm not saying that, classic or physique or bikini or figure should make less, but we often hear the response argument to that. Well, bodybuilding is a flagship division. Well, 212 is bodybuilding. So,
absolutely. We're just a smaller, compact bodybuilding.
More ripped and shredded also, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's very interesting. But you have some amazing sponsors though. I mean, you've been with Gas for quite a bit, right?
Since 2018, MJ and the team there have been taking care of me. I travel to Texas every so often to do photo shoots or just hang out with the team. I have also Michael from Wolfpack. You guys know Wolfpack is absolutely blowing up.
Oh yeah.
And I came on board with him last year, and he just took off, man. I'm so happy to be a part of his team and his family, what he's doing there. Obviously, Signature Fitness. You guys know my home gym. I've been there for wow, 6, 7 years, man. And they just go like just, back in the day, you would see this like you go to a gym that
Right. And then Stacy also Protan. You got Protan, and
yeah,
I mean
absolutely.
you've got some real. But what you need is a supplement sponsor. So again, that's why hopefully companies out there are watching. I mean
Yeah,
they are watching, but I think a lot of companies are a little on the stingy side, and it's also because of the pandemic. I mean, we're kind of in the clear, but a lot of those companies lost a lot of money.
yeah,
So I don't know, like when things are going to get normal again, as to where they're making some offers. But they need to have talent. Any company in this segment that does not have a star sponsored athlete is not going to make maximum revenue. It's just not going to happen.
it's sad because like I said, 15, 20 years ago, all the top 3, 4, 5 guys all had big contracts, and
Right.
today it's unfortunate because social media, I think, kills that, unfortunately.
Right.
So
And I hate to sort of like start to end on a sad note, but you had mentioned John Meadows, and his death just honestly came out of nowhere, and now Cedric, and it's just so many people have passed, and I think I wrote an article about Cedric, and I have to be honest, I was not a huge Cedric fan. Like we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but his contributions to the sport are undeniable, and I always recognize that. His posing was flawless.
yeah,
His physique, the year, more so the year that he took Kai to the limit, but even the year that he won was amazing. And I really feel like he grew bodybuilding. I'm not everyone's fan. I'm your fan, but I'm not everyone's fan. I love Rami, but I'm not a Rami fan. But
yeah,
but 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 his passing is complete, just out of nowhere. And while he was, last thing I'll say, while he was a very public person and he did a lot of interviews, I feel like his private life, he did a really good job of keeping that private, because I had no idea he even had any health issues beyond indigestion.
yeah. No, it's crazy. I'll start by saying it's been a scary time. From John to George to Shaun to Cedric. I mean, like, wow. It's just, and again, I had a relationship with all these guys.
Yeah.
And I was just in Reno with both Shaun and Cedric. It's been a scary time, man. And with Cedric, he definitely had a lot going on. I know he had like the issues with like ulcers or something,
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's been sick for a while, man, and it's sad to see that. And people gave him a hard time. People always give people a hard time when they pull out of shows but again, you don't realize what's going on in someone's life. And now I'm sure there's people looking back now like, oh well, I feel like an ass now because
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a sad time, man. It's scary, as a bodybuilder myself, me and Matt had talked after Shaun had passed, and we just had to make sure that we were good as well. And obviously, I went and saw the cardiologist, had everything checked out, everything was
Good.
okay. The cardiologist was happy with everything, and I was honest. The one thing I tell these guys: be honest with your doctor. Let them know what you're doing, why you're doing it, what your career is. This way, they know what's going on. And that was one thing I was absolutely honest with my doctor. I let him know, I compete. This is what I do, X, Y, Z. And we got the results back that we were hoping, which is everything was good. And but at the same time, you just continue to get those checkups done, guys. Continue to
Yeah.
monitor your blood work, your heart. Make sure the organs are still working, functioning all the time. Just don't go once or twice a year. Make it a habit.
Yeah. And Titan Medical sponsors StrengthAddicts, and they're always talking about blood work just on a regular basis all the time. And sometimes people they're like, well, why do you want blood work done so many times? Just do it once a year. And they're like, no. And they really push it hard because they want to make sure, especially if you're taking exogenous hormones, you really want to make sure that everything's on point, And, we're not all 21 years old. There's people that are like 30s, 40s, 50s.
Absolutely.
You throw that into the mix. You want to make sure that your health is a top priority. But one thing that you'd mentioned also about how hard the media and just the fans and everybody are on athletes like Cedric, and now they probably feel horrible. But like
Yeah.
even poor Flexitron, remember when he went to Pittsburgh? I mean, he was in his off season, but they gave him shit for like months about how he should basically hang him up, and like just
Yeah.
horrendous. And then Cedric, even that Legion show that you won, I don't know if he withdrew or what happened, but there was a lot of talk about that with him. Like one minute he was there and the other he was gone. And
Yeah, he had gotten sick after prejudging, and he didn't come back for the finals. I heard he got sick. So
yeah, so we just don't know. And again, he did such a good job of keeping his private life. And the bull, I mean, like the morning that this happened, he looked phenomenal, and he had even done an Instagram just like hours before. You just don't know. It's just the thing, you just don't know.
that one hurt a lot, man, because like I know George personally. We competed many times together, and here I am in Orlando. We're training in the gym, and I get a text message that George has passed. I'm like what? Like,
Yeah.
so that was and obviously being a 212 guy myself and knowing him personally, it hit me hard a little bit. It definitely hit me hard. But luckily, I have my family and my coach there to kind of keep me at bay and kind of keep my head on straight.
And for George, yeah, and you guys are all from that that tri-state Northeast area,
Exactly.
and all that, and Akeem and you and guys, you're all from like Jersey, New York. I mean, that really had to. That's
Exactly.
like yeah.
I mean, again, like you said, we're all from Jersey, New York, man. We see each other all the time, whether it's at a show or at Bev's gym.
Mm.
It's just scary, man. Sometimes it just seems so unreal.
Yeah. But I mean, I like everything, like, I mean, that you did with John and everything, and how much you post him and remember him. And that's so important, honestly.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm sure with Cedric, the same will happen. And my gosh, like Arnold, what a huge fan of his he was. I mean, which is, it's odd, because Arnold being another bodybuilder's fan, but I mean, he was a great guy, and I think he really grew the sport. So
Absolutely. He was definitely one of a kind for sure.
Mm-hmm. But now for you, though, everything is set with the Olympia, right? You're not, I can't imagine you're going to do any shows before that, right?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna wait. Everything's I'm locking everything down. I'm only doing Olympia first, and I'll wait for the schedule to come out after. See if there's any other shows that I could possibly jump into. I want to compete, man. I know a lot of guys don't like to compete year round, especially Olympia champions. But I definitely want to compete more and get out there more, especially with having the past 2 years, with the world being shut down and not being able to travel as much.
Right.
So I definitely want to focus on Olympia first. And you guys have to wait and see what I decide. Hopefully, they come around and say they can do both. But if not, I would definitely be in Las Vegas on either the Open or the 212 stage this year for sure.
Definitely. Well, I thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to go to the Olympia last year, and my flight, I made the mistake of getting Southwest, and they delayed it like 4 times, and they canceled. Horrible. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I really, really hope. Dan is an amazing guy. He's a good friend. Of course, he has to, he works for Jake, but then he also has to consult with Pittsburgh, which we can't forget. They have an incredible amount of influence as well.
Yeah.
But I just hope, though, that you're able to do both. Like I said, it would be the first time in history. And if they don't want to let you do both, then maybe give you a special invite to the Open. I don't know, however they want to put it together. So, because that's the other thing. They may want to make an exception for you, but they may not want, Kamal and Derek and the other 212 guys coming into the Open, because you literally could you could make a lot of big guys feel like this big, you know what I mean? So I don't know if they want that, but I know that the big guys are scared of that. I know the big guys are scared of that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what I'm gonna shut up here and say, but look at the Persian Wolf. My gosh, I mean, Hadi is a 212 guy. He nearly wipes the floor with everybody. So they're scared. They're definitely scared of you guys.
Hadi, man, if people don't see Hadi in person, this close, he looks so unreal. And I did the show against him in Korea in 2018, and it was just like a sweep. He killed all of us, and it wasn't even close. So no, it's let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But marketing wise, it would be a jackpot. So I mean, that should be big. Saw a lot of VIP packages and booths, and that would be it. So just saying. But thank you so much, Shaun, for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Really, really do.
And I appreciate you again. I appreciate you for just being there for many years, supporting me even before I won. You called the win in 2020, and
definitely.
I appreciate your support always. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you very much for the giant killer. 212 Mr. O, Shaun Clarida, Christian Duke. Yeah.
Yes.
StrengthAddicts.com. Thank you so much.